What account?
It being 5 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. Has the roll been taken and do we have a quorum? So we'll move on to item number 2, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for February 2nd, 2026?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 2nd, 2026.
Is there a second? Yeah. There being a motion and a second, is there any additions or discussion on the minutes? There being no discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion's carried. Item number 3, Andy, communications.
We don't have any.
We do have an item. April Plan Commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, April 9th at 5 p.m. due to the election on April 7th, just as a reminder. So we'll move to item 4, public hearing, review and possible recommendation, Dax Conley for Delavan Holdings. At this time, I'll open a public hearing on a request to amend an existing conditional use permit at 2135 East Geneva Street, allowing for a group development of a multi-tenant building to contain indoor sales or service and office land uses within the business regional zoning district. Applicant Dax Connolly for Delavan Holding LLC.
Because I'll kick this off. This particular property came to this commission a couple of years ago. The addition to add office use as a permissible accessory use within Unit 3 was something with that previous approval was required to come back to get approval for Unit 3. And that is what they are here tonight requesting, the ability to use that section of this building for office use as well as potential retail.
Great. Hold on. Is the applicant here and does the applicant wish to speak?
Good evening. I'm not Dax Connolly. I'm Richard Torhorst.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
I'm good. Other than I need my hip replaced, so I'm struggling for another 3 weeks. But right when we bought that building, we came in and asked. We were just going to use the first 2 units on the east side of the building. I was saying we didn't know what we were going to do with Unit 3. We have now expanded into Unit 3 and need to come into compliance for office. And we'd like to, it's retail is permitted, so there was a space that's retail. And we're looking to just bring in more additional office space. We've run out of office space.
Great. Thank you.
I think the packet explains everything. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay. So do we have any questions for staff or the applicant? Will, I thought I saw you raise your hand.
Probably for Mark, was there any particular reason why this wasn't granted originally?
I think because the applicant was not sure if they needed this space.
And they didn't apply for
At that time, correct, yes.
it. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff or the applicant? Okay, so are there any other members of the public would like to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing at this point. We'll move on to consider a requested amendment to an existing conditional use permit at 2135 East Geneva Street, allowing a group development for a multi-tenant building to contain indoor sales or service and office land uses within the business regional zoning district. Applicant Dax Conley for Delavan Holdings. I'd entertain a motion to recommend to the Common Council approval of the conditional use findings as listed in the report And 2, the conditional use amendment request for interior modifications for the property at 2135 East Geneva Street, located in the Business Regional Zoning District, to allow for an office land use, subject to the conditions of approval as listed in the report.
So
Is there-
moved as
there's-
presented and amended.
I'll second it.
There being a motion and a second, are there any comments from commission members? Hearing none, we'll act on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion's carried. We'll move on to item number 5, public hearing, review and possible recommendation. Adam Schwartz for Quick Trip Inc. Item 5.1, public hearing on a request to amend an existing conditional use permit at 408 South Wright Street, allowing for an in-vehicle sales or service land use to add EV charging stations within the business local zoning district with a wellhead protection district overlay. Applicant Adam Schwartz for Quick Trip Inc. I'll open the public hearing.
Good evening. Before you, you have a request to amend a conditional use permit for Quick Trip. The applicant Quick Trip was seeking to add more EV charging stations in the parking lot. And because we know that this site is very busy, very popular Quick Trip site, often no parking spaces available during peak hours. We encourage them to add 4 new parking spaces rather than dedicate existing spaces for EV charging. And so as you'll see on their site plan, they're proposing 4 new spaces to the south of their existing parking lot, with room for additional 5 spaces to be added at a future date. Those 5 spaces are not being approved this evening, but are phased in as a future potential improvement. The application includes new landscaping around the new parking area. Staff has recommended a condition of approval to ensure that stop signs are placed adjacent to that new parking area, because it creates a new intersection with an existing traffic lane that connects to the property to the south. Now, the applicant has agreed to that condition as well as other conditions proposed by the city engineer. Additionally, staff had recommended removal of landscaping that might be in the site vision triangle as those cars are exiting the new parking area. We just wanted to ensure there weren't any plantings or other obstacles within that vision triangle. The applicant has addressed all comments included in the Baxter and Woodman memo, so staff recommends approval of the proposed site plan amendment and conditional use permit amendment.
Thank you. I see we have the applicant and other members of that team on remotely. Adam, would you like to address anything to the commission?
No, I think that covered it all. These are part of the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Funding Grant that we received from the Wisconsin DOT. So we're working kind of in tandem with them to get this site going and hopefully break ground here soon in late this spring. So excited to get the spot operational and bring chargers to the city of Delavan.
Thank you, Adam. Do any commission members have questions for staff or the applicant?
I have one, Kevin.
Go ahead.
Just a quick question. This is going to be at one location within Delavan's borders. Is there an expectation that there will be more charging stations at the other location?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
You mentioned you're gonna add possibly four new parking stalls on the south side. Is that what you mentioned at a future date?
Jackie?
The proposal this evening is for 4 new parking spaces. They've also phased in potential 5 additional south of those parking spaces, but they're not proposing to install those or construct those at this time. So the net increase would be 4 new parking spaces as part of this proposal.
But they are going to put them in. I mean, you say propose, doesn't mean that they're necessarily gonna put them
They're
in.
requesting approval for 4 new spaces right now.
So Jackie, could you clarify on the site plan we have in front of it? There are, are those the light lined spaces just above on the sheet, the charging station places?
So if you look south of the existing parking lot, there's 4 spaces. There's kind of an area where there's new parking proposed. So the 4 spaces are on the north side of that new area. And then additional spaces are penciled in south of those 4 spaces.
Okay, thank you.
That's-
Any other questions from commission members? Are there any other comments from public members who want to address this matter? If not, I'll close the public hearing. And we'll move on to item 5.2. Consider a requested amendment to an existing conditional use permit at 408 South Wright Street, allowing for an in-vehicle sales or service land use to add EV charging stations within the business local district, zoning district, with a wellhead protection district overlay. Applicant Adam Schwartz for Quick Trip. I'd entertain a motion to recommend approval of the conditional use findings as listed under the recommended conditional use findings section of the report. And 2, the conditional use request for the property at 408 South Wright Street, tax parcel XA642-1, to allow an in-vehicle sales or service land use to add parking and EV charging stations in the business local BL zoning district with a wellhead protection overlay. Is there a
So moved.
motion? Hearing a motion, is there a second?
Second then.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carried. We'll move on to item number 6. Public hearing, review and possible recommendation, Robert Kohler for Bank First. Item 6.1, a public hearing on a requested planned infill development amendment to allow for a conditional use permit on the vacant property located at 1704 East Geneva Street in the Manufacturing Light Zoning District to allow for a personal or professional service land use development with in-vehicle sales or service, in this case a drive-through. Applicant Robert Kohler for Bank First. I'll open the public hearing. Jackie, go ahead.
This is a proposal for a bank with a drive-through. This would be located just west of the Burger King. We reviewed a 7-brew drive-through coffee business not long ago in the same area. The applicant is seeking a conditional use permit to allow for the bank, specifically it's the drive-through that requires the conditional use permit. So you'll see on the site plan, there's a bank building showing a drive-through at the rear and then parking in the front of the building. The applicant has provided a preliminary landscaping plan as well as some conceptual ideas as to what the building would look like. As you can see in their conceptual images, they're envisioning a high quality looking building consistent with other banks that they've developed across the area. This is a conditional use permit approval request. They will still need to submit a PIP request following, but this 2-phase review was the request of the applicant because they're looking to get their CUP approval sooner so that they could work out the land transfer or the purchase of the land. So usually we review the CUP and the PIP at the same time. So details such as elevations and final details on the landscaping plan will come in as part of that PIP. So they won't be, we've added a condition of approval here that they can't put a shovel in the ground until they've got that PIP approval. They're aware of that and they're intending on submitting that PIP at a later date. That's the primary conditional approval or condition of approval recommended by staff. Site plan looks good. They made a few adjustments based on staff recommendations to make sure there's adequate pedestrian access given to the site. and staff would recommend approval.
Okay. Is there anyone representing the applicant who would like to speak?
Hi,
Hi,
Ron Keeler, Bank First, and I have Jason Day with Excel Engineering online as well. As you heard,
I'm sorry, Keeler?
Keeler.
I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name.
No problem.
Okay.
Very common mistake. So yes, Bank First is looking to develop a new bank at the property in question, replacing our other Delavan location. Look to produce a high quality, environmentally friendly building, better serving this community. I certainly can address any questions, or Jason on the line can as well.
Okay. Are there any, do any commissioners have questions for the applicant or for staff?
I do, Kevin.
Go ahead.
Of the designs presented, are there any that are representative of your thought?
Let me just pull up the same document, 1 second. So I mean, our most recent builds are probably like Fond du Lac would be a similar, just smaller than Fond du Lac. Obviously, Fond du Lac is a larger location. But all of our locations incorporate the natural stone exterior with a wood look product, whether it's a aluminum siding or a Trespa phenolic panel into the exterior elevation with glass windows into the offices and the lobby area. And then we incorporate that clerestory, higher volume lobby as a key feature of our design as well. So as you look at through those examples of the packet, they all incorporate those basic tenets of stone, wood look, clerestory, and daylight access. So those would all be tenets that we'd be trying to incorporate into the site. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Robert. Okay, are there any comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. We'll move to item 6.2. Consider a requested planned infill development amendment to allow for a conditional use permit for vacant property located at 1704 East Geneva Street in the Manufacturing Light Zoning District to allow for a personal or professional service land use development with in-vehicle sales or service drive-through. Applicant Robert Keeler for Bank First. I'd entertain a motion to recommend approval of conditional use findings as listed under the recommended conditional use findings section of the report. The conditional use request for the property located at 1704 East Geneva Street in the Manufacturing Light Zoning District to allow for a personal or professional service land use development with in-vehicle sales or service land use drive-through. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 7, public hearing, review and possible recommendations, Alexis Verduzco for Legacy Autos. Item 7.1, a public hearing on a request to amend an existing group development conditional use permit at 1333 Racine Street to add an in-vehicle sales or service land use to allow car sales within the Manufacturing Light Zoning District with the Wellhead Protection District overlay. Applicant Alexis Verduzco for Legacy Autos. Jackie?
This is a proposal for a for auto sales. Outdoor display is the land use that we use for auto sales when there's vehicles parked outside. That requires a special use permit in the zoning district. However, this is a group development because it is a multi-tenant building with multiple different businesses in a single building. And for that reason, we have an existing conditional use permit for the property. that would need to be amended to allow for this new use and specifically for the outdoor display or the outdoor parking for the cars that are for sale. The building includes at least 2 other businesses, hair salon and a cleaning business. And so we've noted that parking for those businesses will not be changed by this proposal. And so sufficient parking is available on site for all 3 businesses in terms of customer parking and employee parking. The outdoor display area, or the area where the vehicles will be parked, will be located on the north side of the building, so not very visible from the street, mostly tucked behind the building. The zoning ordinance does require that all outdoor display areas be fenced, and there is an existing fence in that area. So that serves as meeting the requirement to have these outdoor display areas be fenced. The code also requires these areas any area where you're parking vehicles, including vehicles for sale, do need to be paved. And currently that area is not paved. And so we've added a condition of approval that the applicant must pave that area for vehicle display no later than October 31st. So we've noted that as a condition of approval. And in the process of paving that area, it's possible that some of the existing trees on the north side of the property may be removed or maybe killed through a site disturbance. And so we've noted that we would like to see either those trees retain there, or if that is not possible, planting new screening trees on the north side of the outdoor display area. Primary reason for that is because there is residential property to the north, and we want to ensure that they're not looking at cars for sale from their backyards. The business will have 2 employees. They'll have hours of operations Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5. Besides the proposed paving, there are no proposed changes to the site or the building. Staff has identified a number of conditions of approval just to ensure that this group development flows together and works with its neighboring businesses. So one condition is that vehicles for sale shall not be parked in the employee and customer parking areas and must be parked in the outdoor display lot at the north of the property. This applicant shall provide the city contract for paving no later than August 1st and complete the paving no later than August 31st of this year. October 31st of this year. Third condition is that the applicant shall maintain or replace landscaping along the north property line to screen that outdoor display area from the residential property to the north. Storage or display of inoperable vehicles or equipment shall not be permitted. Any lighting in that area must comply with the city's dark sky lighting standard. With those conditions of approval, staff recommends approval of the proposed conditional use permit amendment.
Thank you. Would the applicant, if the applicant's present, would they like to add anything?
I have some questions that I'd like answered.
Just a minute. Hold on. We're gonna let the applicant speak first, and then we're gonna ask the staff. We're gonna ask staff questions, and then we'll recognize you. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry for my confusion. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Alexis Verduzco, owner and general manager of Legacy Auto Sales. And I'm here to ensure I will meet what's required and make sure we are in compliance. Here to also answer any question.
Great.
I have a question of you. Do you own the building?
I do not own the building. I rent a section.
Have you talked to the owner about
Yes,
paving the
I'm
lot?
here.
Yes, she is present.
You own the building?
Correct,
And you're aware of the requirement to pave the lot?
correct.
Any other questions for the applicant or staff? Go ahead, Will.
For staff regarding the lighting. Has staff reviewed the lighting with regard to the residential areas and contingent to this property?
I can take that. So at this time, no lighting is proposed. We just added that condition of approval to remind the applicant or future property, future tenants that we do have those requirements. So there was no lighting proposed at this time.
I have one question for you too.
Sure.
Go ahead, Bruce.
How come so long for the paving the parking lot?
I think to ensure that the property owner and the tenant had requested that to ensure that they had proof of concept for the business, ensure that they could get the business started before they had to incur that upfront cost. But staff felt it was important that it got done this year.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff or applicant? Okay, at this point, recognize any members of the public who want to address this matter. Please state your name and address, sir.
Oh, my name is Oscar Mueller. I live at 517 Sugar Creek Road, which is Broadview 0006. Directly on the west side of the parking area. I noticed one thing here. That they address the properties to the south, to the west is zone business local, but just up from that is all residential area, all the way to SPX. Some of my questions are, I assume that the vehicles will be parked back in the part north of the building where they have parking. It notes that the staff notes that the landscaping along the north property line should be maintained or replaced to screen off the outdoor display area to the view of multifamily residential property, a meeting to the north. What about the land to the west? Are they going to screen that off also?
Okay, well, go ahead and we'll have staff address these after you've finished your comments, okay?
Let's see. The lighting, they had section where they had the business will have 2 employees. Hour of operation will be Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5. That's fine that there's no night sales and stuff. No changes are proposed to the exterior lighting. That's a good question because all the businesses to the east of me, they all have lights and they're obnoxious. I mean, I could sit in my backyard and mow my backyard at night. And my wife and I like to sit in the yard and it's awful complicated with the anchor in and all the lights to the east. And I would prefer if there's no more lighting here. Well, let's see. And then in this section, it says that the proposed conditional use will be sufficiently compatible with or separated by distance or screening from adjacent agriculture or residential zone or use land, so the existing homes won't be depreciated in value. That goes back to the screening that I talked about earlier. Now, the city has it down here that the all exterior lighting must comply with the city's adopted dark sky lighting, but then in the other section, they say that they're not going to change or put in any additional lighting. So that would be preferred to me also. And then on page 2 of 5, it says no additional lighting, fencing, or any other physical alterations will be required. So does that include if they screen right now we have a chain link fence back there. And we look at all the U-Hauls back there, and some of the trucks are probably 12 feet high. And that's not the most favorable thing to look at from our yard, so. But there's nothing I can do about that. I had asked Shannon if I could put a 12-foot fence up there in the back, so I didn't have to look at those. She said she'd check into it, so. That's what I have on that, see where else I have. It might be a little bit, I'm not sure. Yeah, this on page 1, 2 or 3, it says staff notes that the landscaping along the north property should be maintained and replaced if needed to screen outdoor display area for multifamily residential property. That just goes back to what I've discussed before. Also about, on the same page, proposed conditional use will be sufficiently compatible whether separated by distance screening from adjacent agricultural residentially zoned or used land so that existing homes will not depreciate in value. I don't know how that's going to play out, but I'm sure that the U-Haul that are back there have already done that. I don't know. And I guess that's the only questions I have. So.
Thank you very much. If Jackie, Mark, and Shannon, I think I saw you. If you guys could address 2 questions. The first is the lighting, right? And your point, Jackie, was that there have been no requests for lighting,
Correct.
right? So here's the question. Given there's a provision that if there's future lighting, it has to comply, what actions need to be taken if they come back and ask for lighting?
Good question. They would need a amendment to the conditional use permit if they wanted to add new exterior lighting.
Okay. So is the commission clear on that question, on the lighting, that there need to be an additional, a request for amended conditional use before any lighting could be added? The second question has to do with screening to the west. And I'd like someone from staff, either you, I doubt it's you, Jackie, but Shannon, you're referenced here as having been having reviewed this. Is the screening adequate and similar to that we request for other similar uses at this time?
When I looked at the aerial photo, it seemed that there was dense vegetation on not on the subject property, but on the residential properties to the west, and determined that it was probably not necessary to have additional screening, landscape screening on the subject property, and just rely on the fences on both properties as well as the existing landscaping. But the commission, upon hearing public testimony that there's interest in more landscaping on the west side, you could consider adding a condition of approval to request landscaping along the west side as well.
When I look at the aerial map, there doesn't seem to be a lot of screening to the west. There is on the property lines of each of the properties, but
Correct.
not so much backing up to the property itself.
Yeah, along on the residential properties, there's landscaping, but not on the subject property.
I think asking for additional screening is certainly not an unbearable expense there. So I would certainly agree with that.
Right. And it would seem to me that the screening responsibility, it should be incumbent towards the applicant, not the folks who are looking to be screened, right?
That's correct.
So, okay. Thank you for those answers. Are there any other public comments?
What are you requiring as,
Excuse me?
hi, I'm Jared Garcia, owner of the building. So to the west side, there are currently two fences. There is the fence that belongs to 1333 and the fence that belongs to the condos to the west. The fence that belongs to the condos is a privacy fence, and then ours is just a chain link fence. What other screening are you requiring? Is it higher fencing, higher shrubs? What are the requirements for that, or what would we need to get done?
Okay, I can suggest some things. I think there'd be two options. Probably the best option would be an 8-foot solid privacy fence, which is usually the standard for screening. Another option would be to add arborvitae or other screening landscaping. I have not gone onto the site to see if there's space on the west side because there is that existing chain link fence. And so I think a little more work might need to be done to determine exactly which method, but I think either arborvitae or a solid privacy fence would be acceptable in that location.
I'll have to admit, I was drive over there today and I did not. Arborvitae would be the least expensive way to screen, because they grow quite tall. I don't know how much room is back there.
Okay. Any other public comments at this time? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and move to item 7.2. Consider a requested amendment to an existing group development conditional use permit at 1333 Racine Street to add an in-vehicle sales or service land use to allow car sales within the manufacturing light zoning district with a wellhead protection district overlay. Applicant Alexis Verduzco for Legacy Autos. Before motion, I'd just like to have conversation by commissioners concerning what we've heard and the direction that we would like to go. Bruce, I'm going to recognize you first.
Well, I understand I live on McDowell Street, so Main Street, I back up to Main Street so I understand I plant arborvitaes in my backyard, so I wouldn't see the cars pull into the old Latimer house. So I understand the need for screening for the properties to the west of there. Like I said, I did not drive back there, so I could request either an 8-foot privacy fence or just plant some arborvitaes back there, and I would actually like an indication from the owner which one it is to their convenience.
Okay. Jarrett, do you want to answer?
I would have to discuss this with Alexis since he is the applicant and
Okay.
this is it's gonna be both of ours, so we would have to talk about that in private.
Okay.
But I'm sure it won't be an issue having to either put a privacy fence or planting something back there will not be an issue.
Well, the privacy fence takes up less space. Arborvitaes grow quite big. I mean,
Well,
they get quite bulky.
Like I said, I'll have to discuss with him what route he'd like to go. It's also his business that he's gonna be running out of there, so whatever is also suiting to the eye to him and his client base. So I'll have to review with him and see what he would rather do. There
Great.
is plenty of shrubs there, so just keep in mind that weather permitting, some of those shrubs, the leaves aren't there year round. So in the summertime and spring, there is enough privacy. You can't see the house to the north and you can't see the condos to the west. So if we do go the Verina route in the winter time, it might be that it's not gonna resolve what you're thinking about now. So I'll have to talk to him about it.
Okay. So Bruce, thank you very much. Bruce, is your thought that we would potentially add a condition to ensure agreement between staff and the applicant for adequate screening.
I think that would be the best approach right now, since I don't have a definite answer to the screening.
Right. Jackie, how do you feel about that?
I'm comfortable having two different options that the plan commission's acceptable with, and then the applicant could just work with staff to pick one.
Okay. Are there any other comments any other comments by the commission at this point prior to moving to action? Oh, go ahead.
I would like to add a comment. We are on board, as long as we have some sort of timeline, we have some time. And, if we can have a solution that's more cost effective, we're definitely won't have an issue with meeting the requirements
Okay,
as far as screening goes.
great. Thank you. So, at this point, I'd entertain a motion to recommend approval of conditional use findings as listed under the recommended conditional use findings section in the report, with conditions amended to find suitable screening solution between substantial privacy fence or arbor vitae landscape screening on the west side of the property. And two, the request for an amendment to an existing group development conditional use permit at 1333 Racine Street, tax parcel XWUP 00177A, to allow vehicle sales with outdoor display within the manufacturing light zoning district within the Wellhead Protection District overlay. Is there a motion?
Second,
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carried. So, it's incumbent upon the applicant and staff to resolve the screening issue before we move forward. We'll move on to now to item number 8, public hearing, review and possible recommendation, City of Delavan. Public hearing on a proposed zoning ordinance amendment in section 133206 4M to prohibit commercial apartment as an accessory land use within any property utilized as a commercial indoor lodging land use, the applicant, City of Delavan. I'll open the public hearing. Who wants to address this?
Good evening. This is a proposed zoning text amendment. As was described on the agenda item, this is basically to remove commercial indoor lodging land use from our commercial apartment. So commercial indoor lodging is the category we use for hotels, motels, and similar lodging type land uses. And so this amendment would address concerns associated with the use of hotel, motel rooms for residential purposes as a permanent residential use. And so this proposed change would prohibit commercial apartments, which is a permanent residential use, within hotels and motels, including the use of any rooms by the property owner, manager, or other staff.
Does anybody have any questions for Jackie? Okay, hearing none. Are there any comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. and move on to item 8.2. Consider a proposed zoning ordinance amendment to section 13.3.206.4M to prohibit commercial apartment as an accessory land use with any property utilized as commercial indoor lodging land use. Applicant, City of Delavan. I'd entertain a motion to approve one, the zoning text amendment findings as listed under the recommended zoning text amendment findings section of the report, and two, the proposed zoning text amendment to section 13.3.206.8A pertaining to commercial apartments. Is there a motion?
Kevin, I'll make a motion to recommend approval of one, zoning text amendments findings as listed under the recommended zoning text amendment findings section of the report. And two, proposed zoning text amendment to section 13-3-206, parent 8, parent A, pertaining to commercial apartments.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We're going to move on to section 9 business, item 9.1. Consider a single lot land division request by certified survey map CSM for 1704 East Geneva Street. I'd entertain a motion to recommend to the Common Council approval of the proposed 2-lot CSM land division for the property at 1704 East Geneva Street as prepared by Ryan Wilgreen, dated January 28, 2026. Is there a motion?
So move.
And a second. We'll get to Mark in a second. There's a motion and a second. Mark?
I just was gonna point out that this is a proposed land division to create a new lot for the proposed bank that you reviewed earlier. And then I do have a typo in the motion. It actually is a single lot CSM. I should not use cut and paste.
So do you want to clarify that?
It's just, this is a single lot CSM, it's not a
Oh,
two-lot CSM.
thank you very much.
That was my typo.
So
Yeah.
we're going to treat that as a drafting correction and not go back to the motions or the seconds. Any comments by commissioners? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion's carried. Item number 9.2, consider a single lot land redivision request by certified survey map CSM to combine the two platted lots at 602 Laurel Heights Drive. Mark?
This is an existing home that has been there for many years. It is sitting on two platted lots. They are looking to do some work on the property. And the staff had brought up to them that that's an issue because they have two different tax parcels. This would combine those two platted parcels into one platted parcel. There is an existing storm sewer that actually currently runs underneath the house. And that is shown on the CSM. There is an existing easement for the existing storm sewer pipe.
Okay, is there a motion to recommend to the Common Council approval of a CSM to combine the two platted lots of 602 Laurel Heights Drive dated February 17th, 2026?
So move.
Is there a second?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion's carried. Item number 9.3, consider redevelopment of the city-owned property in the 900 block of Ann Street. Move to recommend that the city consider offers for redevelopment. Oh, excuse me. Mark, go ahead.
What you have in front of you, the city had purchased a number of properties along Ann Street, almost 20 some years ago, to do environmental cleanup and eventually redevelop that property. Some of that area has been utilized for our fire station. The eastern end of the property, at one point, we did sell to a developer a few years ago. That development did not happen. The city took the property back. The question before the commission is, what is your wants, needs, and desires for that property? Looking to consider that for some sort of residential development. One of the options looking at is coming back to this commission to possibly amend the comprehensive plan. Right now, that is shown as basically a mixed use, which does not allow for single family parcels. One of the thoughts is, because we have a lot of multifamily that we have approved in recent years, is to look at that for single family parcels, the far eastern section of the land of that overall property. So that's the question of where the commission is. What ultimately would you think that is an option for a single family?
Okay,
Kevin, a
we'll
question.
open some questions and conversation before we move to action. Will, go ahead.
Back whenever it was done, the remedial to clean up there, are any of those costs passed along to the next owner?
They are not. We have gotten clean. The DNR has those listed as, they're still listed under, they still show up as a listing, but they are not, there's no required cleanup. Everything has been, they're closed sites to the DNR. So they are clean sites from that standpoint.
Thank you.
I assume you're looking for opinions, what we should do with that land, is that correct?
Right.
But property to the east, I think, should not be sold. Where the fire station there currently, and that's the direction they were going to expand, I believe if they were going to.
It's one option. The city also owns land to the
And
west.
with the county doing all its discussions on regional EMS and fire, I think it's advantageous to leave the land to the city at this time. As far as the property to the west. That's in between us and the old Hunter station. It could be marketed, I guess. I don't have an opinion on that piece.
Okay. Other comment?
Nick, I saw you rising. I'm curious to see what you have to say about this.
So once we received the property back, that was up for redevelopment. The thought was about whether our police department would overgrow its space here or whether the fire and EMS would have to grow at some point, right? So that you know, we understand that and have looked at that. So during that time, there was a land contract west of the fire station that the city held with two individuals at that time. Since then, we have actually acquired that property back into the city's hands. So what staff did is we sketched this out. So basically took the exact footprint of what the existing fire station was and put it to the west of the existing fire station. And there's plenty enough room, including parking on that western portion that we own, to be able to develop onto said fire station. So with that said, I believe that we would have enough space to increase our EMS and include our police department in a development to the west of the fire station. Also, when looking at this, if you look at lot 3, so we would still be holding lot 3 to the east of the fire station. So that could be used for future parking lots or some sort of use that way as well. Which would give us that capability of expanding our police and fire over the course of time as our city grows and the need for those different services grow as well.
So Nick, to clarify, what you're identifying is lot 1, lot 2, lot 3 on that aerial as being retained. Obviously, lot 2 is existing city developed, but being retained for public facilities, right?
Correct.
And then that's why lot 4 is what is being asked to be considered here, right?
Correct.
And to be clear, lot 4 could have been developed into an apartment complex based on prior action.
Correct, that would have been 3 6-unit apartment buildings.
Right. So Bruce, does that answer your question about
It does.
still holding enough land to be able to meet the city's needs? Which would truly make lot 4 surplus in your guys' mind then, right?
So lot 4 would be, if your statement is true, the lot 3 and lot 1 would create enough space for expansion of the fire department, EMS, and possibly a relocation of the police department. Is still plenty of land there.
Correct.
And I have no problems putting land lot 4 for sale.
Right.
Just one question. When you're talking about this, what sort of time frame are you looking at?
I would like to get this back in front of common council to discuss with them on how we would like to go about this. And then essentially market it at that moment and get this moving. The TID closure date is 2033, so the sooner we can get this online, the sooner we can start generating increment for that TID district.
Okay, so there's a TID district component there as well.
Yep.
In terms of expansion for the needs of the city. Do you have any projections that would include lot 1, lot 2, in terms of capacity for the city? Or at what point could lot 4 be considered as necessary? If we wanted to maintain that as contiguous? Are we talking 20 years, 50
The
years?
possible need that the city could have for that parcel moving forward is your question.
Yes,
Just
if we
to
wanted to
understand.
maintain that as contiguous property.
So in review of the police department square footage and possible EMS square footage, we did that calculation a year and a half ago, something like that. So I took a larger police department, a larger community's police department, and essentially downgraded it in size based on our population, and then I added a surplus into that, right? So that way we had room to grow. So we don't build something that's only gonna be able to be used for 10 years and then we grow out of it, right? With that being said, there is plenty enough space to the west for the building standpoint of that. I think there could also be a reconfiguration of the current garage portion of the fire station to add on to the front of that to make the garage portion a bit larger. I don't want to speak too far out of that just because an architect would have to review and see what an actual layout is. But if it was more of a square type building on that parcel, I mean, it'd be a significantly large building, being able to house and even use some of the admin quarters in the current fire station. So in review with our police department as well, I mean, they believe it would be enough significant enough space for that development.
Thank you. Other questions?
So lot 4, if it was put on the market, obviously it's zoned for multifamily currently. Is that correct?
It is zone RM12, so yes, multifamily.
Not single family.
Correct.
That,
They would need a comp plan and is rezoned.
so, and so if we identify it as surplus, one of the discussion points has been, this was zoned multifamily primarily to accommodate the transfer and then redevelopment as apartments. And so at this point, as I understand it, they'd like some direction from us on whether we would entertain single family in this area for redevelopment. And I'll just take us back to when that apartment complex was approved. There was some considerable concern within that neighborhood that would have preferred single family development, but we didn't have a sense that that would take place at the time. Not that there are any offers for development that I understand of, Nick, right? But the idea is we've done a lot of multifamily development here, and if the Plan Commission felt that this could would be suitable as single family given its pretty much contiguous to single-family zoning, and that we would at some point entertain a comprehensive plan and zoning change for this. That was the second question that really comes before us tonight. So, one, is it surplus? Two, would we entertain changing it from multifamily to single? Is there any discussion from the commission on that?
If you're asking me, I would always prefer single family over
Right.
multi. And you have plenty of multifamily in that area already, but there's also, surrounding that lot is single family homes, obviously, to the south and to the east.
Right.
And it has that open area there in the middle, which I assume will never be developed as kind of a pond.
When I'm looking at this, I'm thinking about the comprehensive plan. And I understand that we left enough room in there for options to be taken when we put the comprehensive plan together. So we'd also be looking at making a modification of the comprehensive plan. Do we need to do that? Or are there opportunities to get other single family houses within the city of Delavan? Or do we need to undertake that process?
Sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
To me, I mean, what I think at this point, um, we don't know that we've got a developer interested in the parcel yet. And so, I think it's best for us to just say that we recognize that there could be a request for it to be single family. And I do want to point out, I did a lot of work for the commission to explain that, one of the reasons why our multifamily mix is much higher than our single family mix lately has to do with the comprehensive plan not constraining on a citywide level the number of single family, multifamily homes that we can do compared to single family. And I've heard it loud and clear from the commission that we want to look for opportunities for additional single family, particularly when we're looking at infill into these neighborhoods. And so that's why I think it's relevant for us to at least say we would entertain that if a developer came forward with a good proposal for this lot and wanted to develop it as single family. And at that point, we have to do a comprehensive plan amendment. We've done 2 or 3 since the comprehensive plan was completed, primarily how many, 4, Mark?
I believe it's 4, yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's not uncharacteristic. We could do it. So, Bruce, I heard you'd support single family. Will, what's your point of view?
My initial thought is wondering whether or not, well, back up from that. There does not appear to be any immediacy here to declare this property surplus. It's been quite some time since any studies have been done about possible expansion of city offices, city facilities. And I'm a little concerned about making this surplus property if we don't need to.
Okay, Nick, did I hear you guys say you looked at space needs about 1.5 years ago?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And I think the other thing I would just say, Will, is that I mean, we've heard from staff that we have become constrained in terms of new single family lot availability. So if there is a market opportunity, that drives urgency, that would be it. Matt,
I have nothing more to add, Kevin.
Corey,
No. Not more. Yeah.
okay. So, staff would like us to, address this in a motion back to the council. The proposed motion is move to recommend that the city consider offers for redevelopment of the city-owned Lot 4 in the 900 block of Ann Street, and to further recommend that the city be open to amend the comprehensive plan for this location. Is there a motion?
Kevin, I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Yes, Kevin, I have some discussion on this.
Go ahead.
I feel that it's appropriate that we understand the options that come before us. I recognize that this does not put us in a position of making a change right now, but it does give us the potential for something to be looked at in the future. That's why I made the motion. I'm not interested in doing that at this time. I feel like we don't have enough data in order to make the decision to make the change. But in securing that data, I think this motion is appropriate.
Right. And so the way and Matt, the way I read the motion is that we acknowledge that we're open to looking at other options if data is brought before us, right?
That was my interpretation as well.
Yeah, yeah. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion's carried. We'll move on to item 9.4, which is consider assignment of citizen members to the Joint Extraterritorial Zoning Committee with the town of Darien. As part of the action to begin extraterritorial zoning of a segment of the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the city of Delavan into the town of Darien, there's an organizational step that requires that three citizen members from the Plan Commission be placed on as voting members on the Joint Extraterritorial Zoning Committee. And just to be clear, our Plan Commission now has a responsibility working with this zoning committee to make a recommendation to the council if the Extraterritorial Zoning Committee approves a change for zoning plan for that area. Statute requires these to be citizen members. The process is going to take place from beginning now in March through August. And so consequently, the members have to be members who will be serving on the Plan Commission for that whole period of time. Will's term ends at the end of this period, this cycle, and is term limited for a year off the commission. And I spoke with Bruce. Bruce's term ends at the end of this this cycle, and Bruce asked not to be considered to be on this commission. That leaves three of us. So that leaves myself, Corey, and Kyle Watkins as the other citizen members. So I would entertain a motion to assign the three remaining members of the citizen members of the City Plan Commission to the Joint Extraterritorial Committee: Kevin Armstrong, Corey Kunai, and Kyle Watkins.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is item number 10, the Building and Zoning Inspector's Report, the monthly zoning activity report. It's in your packet. Do any commission members have questions?
I have a
Go ahead.
question,
Well,
not specifically about the report, but where do we stand with regards to a zoning inspector?
Right now, that is being handled with Shannon Markley and also with our city planner's office with Vanderbilt Associates. So,
Okay. My concern is with all the development that's going on, that staff feels that we're adequately staffed here.
we're keeping busy. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take that as a,
Fair.
it's okay, we're not drowned in yet.
We've been through this before. So, yes, everything cycles. So. One thing I did want to bring up under my report for tonight, what was removed from the agenda was the proposed mural that was going to be on one of the walls here in town, similar to the Wall Dog event that was a number of years ago. One of the questions that was going to come up tonight was the concept that they were looking at is having individual panels prepared, painted up, and those would be assembled then on the wall later as a mosaic. Is that something just as a straw vote? Was that something that the
no,
commission?
we're not, it's not agended. We're not gonna take a straw vote, Mark. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay,
any other questions for Mark? Okay, thank you. That moves us to item number 11. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. The meeting's adjourned. Thank you.